Welcome to another episode of Wheel of Horror, the podcast where two best friends spin a wheel every day in the month of October. It chooses the horror movie and they discuss it. Today we're talking about 1992's Bram Stoker's Dracula, which was directed by Francis Ford Coppola. I'm your co-host Alec.
I'm Erik.
And today we have a returning special guest, my mom, Dina Lawless. Welcome back to the show, Mom.
Thank you. Great to be back.
Yes, this is a movie that I didn't even know you liked that much.
Yeah, when it first came out, I thought it was absolutely amazing. Yeah, I thought it was really well done back in the day.
Uh-oh. You,
How old were we? 2 years old when this one came out?
Yeah, it came out in 92, right?
yeah, so it would have been...
Yeah, you guys were
Two.
babies.
We're 2. We don't remember, really.
Right.
So you sound like you didn't like it this time.
Actually, I've seen it probably half a dozen times, and I watched it a couple years ago, and it just didn't sit with me very well like it did previously. And then I watched it yesterday, and I was just like, this is really cheesy. And yeah, it just had a real different vibe to me this time.
So it feels a little dated to you now, right?
Very dated, very dated.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't know if I've ever seen this movie like
Mm.
100%.
Oh,
I haven't seen this in about, I'd say, like 10, 15 years. I saw this one, I think it was about 15. I had it on DVD. I really liked it, but I got to be honest, and I'll say I think it starts off so strong,
Yeah.
yeah.
and then there's a part of the movie where it just hits a speed bump, and that's the ship scene where he's coming to London and
Yes.
turns into a werewolf. After it like in the Lucy scene, I'm like, it just lost a little bit of what it had. I don't know if it was like production issues or what, but the way that scene with Lucy, which is what happens in Bram Stoker's Dracula, the novel, he comes to land as a wolf and does the ship scene on the soil in the casket thing. The box, it's not even a casket, it's just a box or crate. That happens, but I guess the way they did that scene, I kind of like was like looking at my watch, like, kind of bored of this scene. I just lost my interest right there.
It's just to me, it came off as really campy, just kinda over the top. I don't know.
Mm. It reminds me of the Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes, how they try to keep to the Shakespeare, and they try to like bring it into like modern times. It felt like a little cheesy
Mm.
in a like Keanu. I don't know if this was the right role for him, and I love Keanu
No.
Reeves. This was not the right role for him.
Well, Erik,
Um,
it's so funny because exactly what you just said is exactly how I felt. I was like, the second
mhm.
he gets to London and becomes a werewolf, immediately I was like, did I miss something? Yeah, I was like, wait, why is he a werewolf? Why is he in London? But his his old vampire self was still in Transylvania though, right?
No, he got younger.
Ugh, what
He
happened?
made himself younger. Yeah. I
I
guess
know.
that it missed a step there where they forgot to explain, like, vampires need to be on their homeland soil to sleep or
Mm.
rest. So they
Okay.
kind of like glazed over that whole part. It's like, why does he have crates of dirt and stuff? And they kind of skipped
Oh.
that. But also, like, how did he get younger? It's well because he drank a lot of people's blood, and he drank Lucy's blood the second he got there, and a lot of it. And the life is the blood, and then made him younger. I think
Hmm.
they
Yeah.
glazed over it though. I was like, okay, like now he's a young guy. Like what? Like no, but he was still there.
Maybe they just, like, felt that everybody knows that, you know what I mean? They don't have to explain it.
They definitely need to explain it.
I
It
agree.
was...
Yeah, no, they needed to explain that.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, Mom, you're a huge Francis Ford Coppola fan, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I was thinking about it. I can't think like what do you think his last like great movie was? Because it definitely isn't this. I was thinking it was even before this, but I want to know what you thought.
Oh my god. Honestly, I can't. I mean, what has he come out with recently within the past 20 years?
He's in his 80s now, right? Like
That's 80s. Yeah,
is he even
yeah.
making movies still?
I don't think
Yeah,
so.
I don't think so either.
No, the last movie he made was in 2011. So it's been 10 years now. But this to me, I never saw The Rainmaker. A lot of people really like that. Jack was okay. Jack's like a cute movie, but I wouldn't say that's like a masterpiece. But damn, like I don't know, like The Outsiders maybe.
Yeah,
Like Rumblefish, a lot of people like. I never saw that one. And
right.
then Apocalypse Now, obviously The Godfather. Those are great. But good God, I don't know. Like, I feel like his downfall kind of started in the 90s.
Yeah, yeah, I think he was definitely past his prime. The '70s were his, his era, but
Yeah.
after that, he kind of started slipping, I think, with age.
Hmm.
It's a very stylized movie, and, like, with the exception of Keanu and even Winona Ryder, like, the acting, like, what's his face?
Anthony
Um,
Hopkins or
well, Anthony
Tom Waits?
Hopkins is great. No, 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 who's Dracula?
Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman, yeah, Gary Oldman was amazing, the
Yes,
makeup was amazing, the costumes were amazing, the sets were
right.
amazing, all of the choices he made, like, aesthetically, really
Yeah,
cool, but just it felt almost like a vampire, soulless, kind of.
yeah,
A lot of effort went into this. You
Yeah.
feel it. Like, it's not something that he just phoned in. He put in his heart and soul into this, as well as the costume director and makeup artist. I just think it's just like, it's like, oh, we're missing the mark a little bit, but it's really good. I think the first 30 minutes are fantastic.
yeah,
More
yeah,
than the
definitely.
movie, the most memorable. Like, that's all I really remembered when I watched it. And then I did remember the scenes of him walking the street with those blue sunglasses,
Yep.
but I couldn't tell you the ending. So I was like, did I completely just forget it? But
It's not very memorable.
no, it's not.
It's funny, I've seen it, like, 6 times, and I couldn't remember the ending. It's just not memorable, I guess, at the end.
It fizzles hard, I
Yeah,
think, after the first 30 minutes, but there's, like, good parts
there are.
after, but, like, the
Mhm.
first 30 minutes, it does such a great reimagining of the I think it's 1932 or 33 Dracula with Bela Lugosi, and it's like, "Oh, this is a different take on Dracula and his outfit and his hair and who he is
Mm,
and what he looks like," and I'm like, I kinda was digging it.
I think they gave him more of a human, you know what I mean? Just human characteristics as not just a
Mm.
monster, and maybe that's because it was a love story too. That's really if you boil it down, that's what it was.
Yeah, and
yeah.
I don't think the novel, is a love story at all.
Right.
Really?
There's none of that Mina stuff. No, well, he
Oh,
turns Mina into a vampire, and they use Mina like they do in this to, like, capture Dracula or, like, go to fight Dracula, but he doesn't leave Transylvania to go to London for Mina. He leaves to get his land and
ugh.
start preying on people.
Maybe you guys can explain this to me because I feel like I missed like, this movie just didn't connect for me at all. So, like, basically, they send Keanu Reeves to Transylvania because Dracula is buying up a lot of property in London, and they
Correct.
want but why'd they send him there, though? Just to be like, "Hey, like, why are you doing
Well,
this?" Or just
because their last guy is Reedman, the
Right.
Redman, the
Renfield.
Yeah.
Renfield, that's it, yeah, and he's gone mad, he's like, "Our last guy failed at securing the contract, so we're sending you," and that's what he's going Jonathan Harker, Keanu Reeves is going over there to get those signed documents, which he does, you see him signing the papers with Dracula and stuff,
Sure,
so
but then he gets captured the same way I'm assuming this Renfield
yeah.
guy did. He's there for a month. So then, just by chance, Keanu Reeves happens to be with the 400-year later reincarnation of Dracula's wife, just by chance. And he's got the picture of her with her, which then prompts him to capture Keanu Reeves, teleport his body back in time, and then go back to
Mhm.
London and force a different human to fall in love with him, just like his old bride did 400 years ago.
You lost me there, yeah.
That's pretty much the movie, right?
Yeah, yeah, not the book is literally Dracula telling them to sign the papers, Harker getting very interested in what's going on in this castle, and Dracula telling him, "Don't explore the castle at night," and he goes and does it anyway. So I don't think Dracula was gonna kill Harker in the book, but since Harker started exploring, his 3 brides go to kill Harker. Dracula thinks Harker's dead, Dracula leaves for London, Harker escapes. That's how it goes in the novel.
Mhm.
This is like Dracula's like, "You are going to be captured here as I take your wife, who's the reincarnation of my wife who from 400." Yeah, it's like, okay, all right, too many layers now. Like, this isn't Pearl Harbor. This is Dracula. Like, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? It just the love story isn't the greatest thing either, but yeah.
No, no, it's very cheesy, and just I thought that the acting was over the top, and of course, I love Keanu too, but we all know that he's a real shit actor. I just,
Well, not all the
eh,
time,
well,
not
maybe
all the
Point
time.
Break, Point Break, right?
Oh, I love Point Break.
I know you guys love Point Break.
Wait, Mom, have you seen, like, John Wick
I
or
haven't. No, I have to be honest,
Oh,
I haven't. I
okay.
haven't.
You gotta see John Wick, that might change your mind about Keanu. He's having a
Really?
oh my god, he's having the biggest comeback right now.
Huh.
I thought he was great in, like, Devil's Advocate, The Lake House. He's
Yeah,
great in a
yeah.
lot of other films. Like, I wouldn't even say John Wick's just a great action movie, and he's fantastic in it, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's other good movies. Keanu's a great actor. I mean,
Really? You think so?
I think so.
He's not a great actor, but he's like I just like him, so I'm gonna root for
Yeah,
him.
same with me. I like him a lot, but I don't think he's a good actor. He's just very likable.
You used to have a huge crush on him back when, like, The Replacements was out.
Me? The
Didn't you?
Replacement.
Was it me? Was it me? No, I don't know. I love The Replacements too. I do love The Replacements.
Yeah,
I
Mom,
I don't even know what The Replacements is.
that
Shane
foot
Falco, Footsteps Falco from Ohio State.
it's a football movie, the comedy football movie with Keanu Reeves as, like, the fill-in quarterback. You remember that movie from, like, the early two
No,
I
I
thought
don't.
you had a huge crush on Keanu Reeves when that
That
movie
movie's
came out.
great. You should rewatch that one. Put that on the
No,
wheel.
I don't even recall that movie.
Wow, okay, never
I
mind.
think
Huh.
the worst part about this, though, Keanu's hair in this. What is going on with that
Why was
hair?
it gray? Why was it gray
Well,
for no reason?
because he was so shocked by what was happening and traumatized. That actually happens. Your hair can turn white.
But does it turn back to black like 30 minutes later?
No. No.
It does. Yeah, no, the shocking white thing I get, but like it was all over the place. I don't know.
Yeah.
It seemed like it got, like, whiter throughout the movie too. Like, it was very white in one scene, and it wasn't as white in another one. I was like,
Then it goes like back to black, and it's like, what?
yeah.
Yeah, this movie's a little wild.
They didn't acknowledge that at all, right? His hair?
No.
I
Yeah,
thought they
okay.
would. You know what scene really did it for me that I'm like, "Oh, I don't think he wants to be here anymore," is when Anthony Hopkins throws those 3 heads off the cliff and screams like, "Dracula!" I can see him,
Yeah.
like, looking at Francis Ford Coppola like, "You don't make me do this," you know? Like, that scene was silly.
I thought it was really interesting how he had 3 different roles in the movie. I couldn't figure that out. Why was he the priest in the beginning? I kinda get him being the narrator, I guess, but why the priest?
I know.
Reincarnation. They're doing reincarnation, I think,
Yeah,
a
wow.
lot of it.
Oh, huh.
With Mina being reincarnated, the one who is trying to get Dracula to stop is reincarnated. It's a lot.
But the thing is, everybody else's reincarnation was a previous version of themselves. Anthony Hopkins was, like, a priest and then became a vampire hunter. I don't that was supposed to be a reincarnation, you think?
I I don't know, in some version of it. I mean, because he is the same plays 2 characters.
Dude, like,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but as Francis Ford Coppola watching this, I would think like, "Okay, I've made some of the greatest films in history." He has to watch this and be like, "There's gonna be a disconnect with the audience."
right.
I don't
Mm.
understand how this didn't.
There's also one really shitty scene with the wolf going into the movie theater, not that it's really a movie
Yeah,
theater, but, like, the Nickelodeon
yeah.
place, and there's a scene where he goes to pet the dog, and the wolf looks huge at one second, like direwolf status, and then she goes to pet it, it's like, "That dog's like a little puppy." Like, what like, it just, like, as a viewer, you're that disconnect is there, Alec. It's like there's a lot of not bloopers, but movie effects that don't line up the way it should have for
Hmm,
1992.
Yeah.
that's interesting. See, I never picked up on those back then, but now
Maybe that's why you felt like, "Oh, this feels dated," you know?
yeah, exactly. I thought the cinematography was phenomenal. I
Yeah.
mean, it was beautifully shot. The costumes were amazing. I mean, in the beginning when he's wearing that red armor, I mean,
Mm.
that's intense. It just set the whole scene up. Yeah, I don't know. I was just disappointed, I guess.
I'd say the best thing this movie has going for it is it's just very stylized, and,
Mm,
it also, the makeup really holds up. Like, I think that one scene where Dracula, after he infected Mina and he, like, jumps down and he's like, "Look what your god did to me," and he's, like, freaking out. I was like, "This looks great still."
Yeah,
mhm,
yeah.
mhm.
So, like, there are redeemable qualities to this movie, and
Well, and I think it won Academy Awards for, like, costume and makeup, but that's
good.
it. I
Okay.
think that was, like, all it won for.
Yeah.
The music, though, is awesome at the beginning.
Isn't that from the original Dracula too?
I don't know if it's that one or Nosferatu, but it's
The
also an
music?
American Horror Story, like, how
Yeah.
to describe it, but it has, like, that, like, dun, it's I can't really hum it, but I tried.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah. The music was good though. I do remember it. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Speaking of Nosferatu, real quick, 1922, the 100-year anniversary is like 5 months away, which is kinda cool to think about that. 100 years,
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
you know?
that is nuts. That's like the first movie I can think of where people still talk about it. I guess there's that one like KKK movie.
Birth of a Nation?
Yeah, I guess that is the first one, but people talk about that more
Birth,
with,
yeah.
like, Descent like, they don't like it as opposed to, like, Nosferatu is the oldest movie I can think of that people are like, "This still holds up."
Yeah, it's like back then there was like those 2 movies, and now there's like 16,000 streaming platforms where it's like I don't even like how many movies are going to stand the test of time of 100 years. But Nosferatu, 100
Mm.
years coming up.
Oh,
That's
really
crazy.
quick, Mom, I guess I'm looking
Mhm,
here, his armor from the beginning is
mhm.
on display at his winery in California.
Really? Well,
Yeah,
that was
so
that's a pretty cool, piece of costume. I don't know, I thought it was really it stood alone.
yeah, yeah. But, yeah, if you ever, I mean, I heard his winery probably has a lot of other stuff too that's, like, from his movies, just a bunch of
Uh-huh.
props and stuff.
Just like a box of like rotting cannolis from The Godfather. Like,
Oh, God.
Oh, you're talking about Coppola. I thought you were talking about Gary Oldman. Oh,
No.
gotcha.
Yeah, 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 Francis Ford Coppola, you know how he makes that
Okay.
wine? He has the
Yes.
winery, yeah.
Yes. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Gary Oldman doesn't get shit for this. He got his money. Like, no, Francis Ford Coppola keeps all that.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I remember I think dad had, the VHS of this movie, and
Mhm.
the cover with that Dracula statue face
Mm.
scared me so bad when I was a kid. I mean, I remember
Really?
oh my god, yeah. So it's like it looks like a gargoyle face basically, but
Yeah.
it's Dracula's face. I don't know what it was, but when I was a kid, I think I had to, like, get the DV or the VHS box, like, out of the room that I was sleeping because I was so afraid of even the box
Wow.
being in the same room as me. It freaked me out that much.
It's pretty evil looking. It really is. It's,
Yeah. Yeah, it's just got the wolves for, like, hair, but they have, like, snake tongues coming out. Yeah, it's freaky.
Like
yeah,
the stone wall face thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
exactly.
that is pretty creepy. I mean, yeah,
yeah.
pretty good.
Because we were kids, I mean, when this came out, so to see that, yeah. Was there any part of the movie itself, though, that actually creeped you guys out at all?
Well, I can tell you what part when I was younger freaked me out big time
Yeah.
is when the brides got the baby.
Oh, yeah.
That just, I mean, really traumatized me basically. And then
That
later
happens in the book. That's a big thing in the novel. Yeah,
really
that's a thing, and also Lucy, when she comes
yes,
back from the dead, is always taking the
that
children. Yeah.
that just really bothered me. I mean, it still does, obviously, but
Mhm.
and that's the thing, you see Keanu's face when the 3 brides are going after the baby, and talk about horror. I mean, the look of horror on his face was just that was
Yeah.
one part where he acted well, I think. I mean, it was yeah, it was real.
Yeah, I mean, because especially considering you had a two-year-old then, so it's like
Exactly. Yeah, it hit me personally.
yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
That shocked
Mhm.
me, though, even when I watched it, I was like, "Whoa, whoa, they're killing a
Yeah,
baby?"
You don't really think about vampires eating babies or
no.
children, but
Yeah,
they
that
do.
would be like a fun-sized Snicker bar for them. They need a human. They
Yeah, the
need, like
3 of them too.
Oh my god. We are on a diet. Yes.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah, what's there 3 of them are sharing 1 baby? I'm
no,
sorry,
no,
but
one baby to go around. No. Yeah. Well, that I mean, I'll say this though. One of my favorite parts of this movie is the reinvention of those great lines of Bela Lugosi from the original Dracula. I never drink wine. That one's
Mm,
the way Gary Oldman delivers that in a different way is
mm,
fantastic. But also with the wolves, going off in the background like howling, and he goes, "Children of the night, what
oh, yeah.
music they make." Just
mhm.
the lines, and that was all in the first 30 minutes. So it's just like we hit our nostalgia of the original Dracula there, and then it kind of goes away. It kind of
Oh,
goes
yeah.
away.
Yeah,
But
Real
yeah,
fast. Really quick, I wanna say one of the scariest parts to me is when the redhead woman, I can't remember her name now,
Lucy.
Lucy, when she is possessed and she has the little kid or whatever, and she just sprays out the blood, I was like,
Oh, yeah,
"Damn, that I did
yeah,
not see that coming," and I was like, "This actually really looks good." It looks better than The Exorcist, I think, and it looks like real blood. They did a good job
yeah,
there.
that was freaky. I'd say
Yeah.
the scariest part for me is when he's shaving. That
Oh,
was
yeah.
freaking me out a bit, like, because it looked like they were really shaving Keanu in that scene. And like he goes to lick the blood off the razor, and then like when he crawls down the side of the wall, that's something
yeah.
that kind of stuck with me a little bit. But
Oh,
aside from
Mm.
yeah.
that, nothing terribly frightening in this film.
I thought a lot of it was really cool, like, when they had the brides and he was laying in the bed and he basically was paralyzed and they all come up slowly.
Yeah, that's
That
cool.
was wild. And then
Mm.
even Lucy. when she came out of that glass coffin, and then you could tell, like, she went back, and it was reversed. The film was reversed, but it just looks so cool, you know what I mean? They
Yeah.
did that a lot in the movie where they reversed it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, they filmed it, and then they played it back in reverse,
Oh,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
and I thought that was pretty cool.
but yeah, like how she like sinks in, and it's just like they
Yeah.
revert. Yeah, they did some cool. The cinematography, like you said, is great. I love the train shot and the wolf's eyes that turn into the bite marks and stuff like that is just awesome.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah,
It was like every transition was like, "Oh, it's like a circle," and then
had to be artistic,
yeah, like,
right?
and then it
Like,
goes into, like, the bottom of a glass where, like, water's getting poured in. I was just like, "Wow, this he did really take his time thinking about transition shots."
yeah, like I said, effort was there. Effort was there. It just missed a lot.
But here's the thing, this movie did really well, you know? Its budget was 40,000,000 and it made 215.
Wow.
That's great.
Because you know what, man? It was a part of pop culture back in 1992. Like Keanu was already on the map. Anthony Hopkins was on the map for Silence of the Lambs. Like it was all about the actors and Francis Ford Coppola being the director. Like this was like one of those big pop culture movies. I think one of those brides, the three vampire women, one of them was like a Sports Illustrated cover. So it was just like it was a lot of pop culture being fed. It was the blockbuster of that time. So
Hmm.
that had a lot to do with it.
You could probably speak to that, Mom. I mean, do you remember at the time this being, like, extremely popular? Were they, like, talking about an SNL or, like, what?
No.
No?
I don't. I mean, I
Totally wrong. All
no,
right.
well, I'm just trying to remember for myself. I do believe your dad and I saw it in the theater,
Okay.
but I don't recall it being, like, huge. I mean, was it up for Best Picture or
No.
Best Director? Oh, it wasn't, okay.
I can see if there's best director. But Eric, I can see where when you're saying that, like, that would make sense. Like, I would imagine this on, like, MTV. It's like Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder, these 2 hot actresses.
Arrive at the wet red carpet together. Are they dating? I don't know. Like back to you, Kurt.
Yeah, but oh, so okay, alright, so Academy Awards, it was nominated for, Best Art Direction, Best Makeup, Best Sound Effects Editing, and Best Costume Design, and it won for all 3, and it lost for Best Art Director, and that's it.
Mm,
Wow, that must have been a slap in the face,
To who?
not to be anything about directing or yeah, right, right.
Yeah, the directing, the set designer, you oh, wait, yeah, so there are things that you would be kinda surprised with. Yeah, set design, jeez. That's crazy that didn't get nominated. But they did get nominated to other things, you know, BAFTA and the Saturn Awards nominated for Best Actor for Gary Oldman and stuff, so and Francis Ford Coppola won Best Director at that award ceremony, so
Okay.
but,
Okay.
yeah, the Oscars were like, "Nyeh, nyeh."
yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
because you know, he just made Godfather 3, like, 2 years ago, people didn't really like that, then he makes this, then the next movie he makes is Jack, so it's like,
Yeah,
ugh.
after the '70s, I think he started going downhill a little bit.
See, it makes me scared that we're gonna get, like, something like this from, like, Quentin Tarantino in, like, 20 years or something, you know?
He's not making many more films. I
Yeah, I
think he has
heard
like
that.
two left. He said, right? He's doing, and that's it. Right.
I've heard that, yeah. Who
Yeah.
knows? Did you ever read the book, Mom?
No, actually, I haven't. Eric, you read it?
I had never read the full thing. I've read some of it, and I read a shortened version of it. But it's
Okay.
mainly Jonathan Harker sending letters. What's the best way to describe it? It's like what's that book where every chapter's it's like Game of Thrones where every chapter is like a different character's point of view, you know? And it was like
Mhm.
Jonathan Harker and then like Mia, and it's kind of similar to that, but it's all letters, right?
Hmm.
And then you figure out the story through that.
Hmm.
Speaking of the letters, when did, like, that start happening? Like, how the hell like, could you get a letter from Romania to London?
Right.
Like, back then, because it's like, okay, even if it was on land in Europe, that's one thing, but London's still across the English Channel, so you still have to get it on a boat. Like, how much money would that cost back then?
Postage? Ugh. Mm.
Well, how long was he there for? Wasn't it just a month? I mean, it would have taken a month just to get one letter from London to Transylvania.
Okay, so really quick to bring this up again, Justin and I did the math on the movie Van Helsing. So from Romania to London takes 55 days by horseback.
Wow.
We did the math, and, yeah, so actually this doesn't really make sense, unless it was by
No.
ocean, I guess, but
Carrier pigeon. Goes in
that's
carrier
not a
pigeon.
thing. That can't be a thing.
No, no. I was gonna say, not to change the subject on you. I like how Dracula is very charming in this film.
Mm.
too.
Mhm.
I think that was cool to see.
He's
Like, he
likable.
would charm me. He like dropping diamonds in her hand and like telling her like I can show you the world. And it's like, you got the new Xbox? Like, what's up, Dracula? Like, hey, you want to hang out? Like,
I thought he also brought a lot of human characteristics. I mean, he was emotional at times, and you don't think that Dracula the monster is gonna be emotional, but he brought a lot of emotion to that
Well,
role.
it's because he's lived as a mortal. Oh no, he's lived as a mortal, but he's also lived 400 years more.
Mm,
So he's like 450 years old at this point, and he knows humans. That's why he's so cultured. He looks like
mhm.
the coolest out of anyone in the crowd with his blue sunglasses. I think that has a lot to do with it, but that's a good point. Yeah.
Well, you also see him in the beginning. We get to understand why he renounces his faith, and he's like, "I have served God my whole life, and she, took my wife, and blah blah blah." So we get to see why he turns into this monster, but I'm a little bit confused. So he takes a sword, stabs the stone cross, that then
Mhm.
causes it to bleed, which then he drinks and then becomes a vampire. Is that kind of what happened?
Yes, he renounces his faith, and he was like one of the most faithful, and he won the Crusades pretty much, and
So
comes back, and that all happens.
yeah, but, like, he just stabbed a rock and then blood came out, and then what come on. What the hell was that?
Also, at the end, did you notice at the end too, like the painting on the ceiling was like Dracula and his Elizabeta going to heaven. That was the painting.
Mm,
So it
mhm.
was like, oh, so their souls are saved finally. Was like the ending.
Why
Mhm.
though? Why? What did they
It was it
do?
was it was a love story. What is it? Love true love never dies? Isn't that
Oh, on the box, I think, or
yeah, I think that was, like, the tagline,
I
"True
think
love never dies."
I think you're right. I just also think, like, it didn't he like, "You've killed thousands of people." It's like, how did he get into heaven?
Put them on stakes too. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's like,
right.
"Hey, at least he found his girlfriend." God's like, "Hey, all's forgiven. You're good. You're good.
yeah.
Get in here, you rascal." Like, come on.
Speaking of stakes, so the scenes they do a lot is they do the stake and they decapitate the vampires too.
Mhm.
You notice that? So in the book, they do one more thing after they stake, decapitate. What's the third thing they do?
Take their heart?
Good guess, Alec.
I don't know, they cut their head off. I don't know.
They stuff their mouth with garlic.
Hmm.
Why?
I never got the garlic thing. I don't
Yeah.
know because I never understood that. I think I got to look that up.
I
But
know garlic's, like, really good for you if you're getting sick, so they're like, "Oh, it's like a
why do
vitality."
that last thing? Like why? Like, oh, you got to stuff her face. It's your head's cut off. She's not gonna do anything. It's like, no, no. If she's gonna come back as like a head thing. Like we gotta like put the garlic in her mouth. It's like, oh my god, like geez, that's pretty vivid and violent.
Yeah. I don't know. I've never understood the garlic thing either. Yeah.
Oh, and then one other thing from the book. So the book ends with the same thing. The fight. Dracula gets out of the last crate of soil from Transylvania. He gets stabbed and he just turns to dust. He doesn't like go back and have this like scene with Mina. But Mina like became a vampire and lost her curse, so she came back to normal. And Quincy, you remember the guy who dies at the end, who
Yeah.
like got stabbed?
Mhm.
It just ends with a letter, and it ends with Mina and Jonathan Harker have a child, and they name the child Quincy, and that's how
Hmm.
Bram Stoker's Dracula ends. Different than the book, but yeah.
Yeah.
Quincy didn't seem as important in the movie, the
No,
boy.
but he cared a lot about Mina, and I think in the book it was like a big thing when he was dying. Like, is Mina okay? It was like one of his like last things, and then he like, yes, Mina's not cursed anymore. She's not a vampire, and he just died, and then boom.
Right.
So
Okay, cool. Well, before we move on, do you guys have any last minute thoughts on Dracula?
I just don't think it translated well in today's culture, I guess I would say. It just
different
lost
strokes for
a lot.
different folks, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. I was just kinda disappointed how it lost a lot of its, shine with me, I guess.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, hey, if you've never seen it, check it out. If you like Francis Ford Coppola's movies, I mean, hey, give it a
Oh,
shot.
I think you definitely should check it out, you
Yeah,
know?
it's not a terrible movie. It's just kind of
Right.
it's kind of a letdown.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the reason I just thought of this, Mom, you were gonna tell your part of the Warrens story that we've been
Mhm.
kind of building here on the podcast with the Banivers and now you also have something, I guess that happened in what, 1989? And if you wanna
I
tell.
actually have 2 stories,
Oh, great,
one that had to do with you and one that had to do with your little brother.
great.
The one with you is back when I was growing up, I was really into the occult. I mean, I would, play with a Ouija board or tarot cards, and I'd seen a couple of psychics. And then I got pregnant with you, and I started thinking, this isn't good. And we were friends with the Warrens' grandson, Chris, and he said that spirits and demons can attach themselves to you.
Hmm,
So I was really terrified that you were gonna be born and you were gonna be vulnerable to this.
Jesus.
So Chris took us down, your father and I, to Monroe, to this little church, and I can't recall the name of it, and there was a bishop there called Bishop McKenna, and we walked in, it was a tiny little church, and it was a Latin church. It was Catholic, but it was Latin, all the masses were said in Latin, and he gave me a little veil I had to put over my head, none of my skin could be exposed, and he basically said an exorcism over me. It was a
Jeez.
Latin Catholic mass, and that's what it was, basically to close all doors that I, had previously opened apparently, and, I felt better. I felt better once I left. I felt like you were protected and nothing I had done previously was gonna affect you, and yeah, it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool.
Okay, so were there other people there besides, like, the
Nope.
priest?
Nope, it
Okay.
was at night, and it as far as I remember, that was his church, and there were no other clergy that worked there. I could be wrong, but that's what I remember, and it was just this tiny little church, it was at night, and yeah, it was pretty wild, and it was an exorcism. It was
Jeez, yeah.
pretty wild,
I
yeah.
mean, nothing happened, I'm assuming, right? No, like, lights or anything fell
Oh,
over or any.
no, no,
No,
no, it
no.
wasn't like the
You're just the son
movies.
of the devil, Alec. We hate to
Yeah,
break it to you
right.
tonight. Like,
But nothing creepy happened?
No, not at all, it was very
sorry, we
calm.
had to break it to you tonight. No, that's great. That's insane. That's insane. That's
Yeah.
wild.
You want me to
Jeez.
tell you the other one quickly too?
Yeah, yeah, please.
Okay. So the Warrens have in their basement, they have well, if you've seen The Conjuring, you know it. They have a museum in their basement where they have collected different idols and different things from their cases, and they keep it in this museum. Well, a few years ago, Jack was a baby. Your brother wanted to go to this museum. You could actually take tours of it. And I had been previously with Chris, their grandson. And so I called Lorraine, and she answered and she's talking to me. And she said, "Okay, how old, are the people that are coming?" And I told her, and she said, "I assume everybody's been baptized." And I said, "No, my son, who's 6 months, hasn't been baptized." She said, "Oh, my dear, you need to go out and get that baby baptized as soon as possible."
Whoa.
She said, "You cannot come here, and you need to get him baptized as soon as possible." Well, can you guess what the next thing I did as soon as I got off the phone with her?
Poured some water on his head.
St. Anne's. No, I called St. Anne's, and I made, an appointment to get Jack baptized. When
Jeez.
Lorraine Warren tells you, "Get your baby baptized," you gotta think about that.
It's
It just made
crazy.
me think, like, what has she got to lose? She's got nothing to lose by telling me that and having me believe it.
She probably just
W
lost money by telling you not to come.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly.
You're right.
So, it
Yeah.
just really made me think, like, "Huh."
And then you think, what's the worst that can happen? He just gets, some water pouring on his head and, gets some religious things said to him. So I should definitely do this, right?
Y
Like,
Yeah, and I wasn't going to, I wasn't gonna have him baptized, didn't really think much about it, but then when she said it, I was like, "Yep, we're gonna do
mm.
this, and we're gonna do it now."
Jeez.
Yeah,
Yeah. I am 99% sure that's the same church that the Bandivers were going to as well. Because I thought they said it
really.
was in Monroe or Madison. It was definitely an M town in Southern Connecticut. So I was like, and it was all
Yeah,
Latin. I think it's called Our First Ladies, I think.
I don't remember. I know it was Bishop McKenna, and he died a few years ago, but he worked with the Warrens.
Okay.
He worked with them when they did exorcisms and, everything.
Jeez. Well, we're gonna have, we'll have Matt on again in the future, so I'll confirm. I'll ask him, be like, "Hey, was it McKenna?" He's like, "No way," but we'll see.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be interesting to hear for sure.
Yeah. Well, Mom, thank you so much for coming on, talking about Dracula, talking about this crazy story. I'm so glad I'm not a spawn of the devil.
It actually gave me a good idea of like a film. Like imagine like your best friend is the son of the devil or something, and it's just like I still like you, dude. It's okay, like or something like crazy, like demon esque. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like little Nicky, but like he becomes little Nicky. He's like a
It's like, I didn't know,
teenager.
man. I didn't know. It's like once I hit puberty, everything got weird. Like,
Yeah,
it's okay. Like,
exactly. I like it. My buddy the
yeah.
devil.
Yeah, like My Little Vampire. Like remember that
Yeah.
movie with
Yeah.
the
All right. Well, Eric, what do you say you spin the wheel?
I'll spin the wheel. Also, this movie makes me want to watch Dracula Dead and Loving It. That was my final thought too, with
Oh yeah,
Leslie Nielsen.
I remember that. Yeah. Actually, you know what, Eric?
Mm,
There is
mhm.
no wheel.
Well, we can't spin the wheel. What are we doing? What
There's
are we
no wheel.
doing?
I know. This is the last movie.
What, this is the last one? Is it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we
This is our
are.
second to last one. Our last one is already decided.
Yep. So we have Psycho. So we're going to be closing
Oh,
out the month of October with 1960s Psycho.
that's a good one to close with for sure.
I love it. I love it. Can't
Yeah.
wait.
All right. Well, Mom, thanks again.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It was great.
Yeah. And we'll see everybody tomorrow with Psycho.
Woo!